So I'm supposed to introduce myself, right?
Yes, introduce yourself, Scott. Tell us
All
what you
right.
do.
So I'm not good at this, but I'm going to do it. Um, I'm CEO of Bookster. So Bookster is uh, pretty much the largest content-based literary agency and platform on the planet. So if you've gone to Bookster, you'll see that we do videos with authors, we do one-on-ones, and we're pretty much unique in the content space. And what we do is we really do a lot to platform authors on our platform, meaning Instagram, Facebook, our website, and TikTok, etc. And then we also have social media services where we do like kind of that personal um, services for an individual author, where we run their social media, make their content, stuff like that. A little bit about me. I have like 25 experience in content. So I was working in content before they called it content. And so I was part of the first streaming companies, part of the first video companies. I literally was with a video company where we were deciding whether to be on YouTube or not. So I don't know if that says anything good, but yeah. And so basically, with content for authors in the literary world, it's all about connecting authors and audience. And my original background way back in the day was in the music industry. And we know how people love an artist and then they're just going to get everything from that artist. And why shouldn't that be true for authors too? So that's been my mission with Bookster, is to really have people fall in love with authors. And when you fall in love with the author, you fall in love with the books.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to jump right in, Scott, because we do have a few questions that some folks wanted to send in and ask you. So, my first question: how can authors curate their social media presence to authentically represent themselves and their work while also engaging their audience?
All right. So, really, the first thing you want to do as an author, the second you feel like you have to post, don't post. So, any kind of posting from obligation or burden will never give you a good result. You really want to think about, what about me will connect with my fans or with people who want to know me. And look, if one post a week is what you could do authentically, do one post a week. 2 posts a week, do 2 posts a week. You don't have to post every day. You don't have to have this be a big burden. And then you want to think about, okay, what am I going to talk about? Am I going to talk about my writing process? Am I going to give little excerpts of my book? And so it really is that you want it. The main thing you have to be is consistent. A lot of authors, they write a book, it comes out, they're on social media for 3 months, and then they disappear. And that doesn't work. What works is keeping people engaged, going across time. And also, anyone who says to you that something's going to go viral, don't ever listen to that. Like, just be consistent. If something goes viral, God bless. But don't, what matters is being consistent and connecting with people.
So, my next question: how can authors balance the demands of social media with the need to focus on their writing and creative process?
So I answered that
Yes.
a little bit just before, right? Which is, yeah, you want to prioritize it. And look, there are those people who get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and have a social media post every day. If you're not one of those people, you're not going to become one of those people. So don't, the worst thing you could do to yourself is put unrealistic expectations. Now, as far as the balance, it really is like, do you want to be out there? And just understand there's a value to you being out there. You put out your book. Look, the first thing people do is Google you. And when they Google, they're trying to see what has been said about this person, where can I find them, all that. Nothing ever lives in a vacuum. So when they Google you, they're gonna see, okay, were you on different platforms? Did you have articles out there? Are you on social media? So it's more about thinking about, what are people gonna see when they look you up? Because if you're just only on book sites, like the sales sites, then that's a limited ability to really touch audience and build your following.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. My next question is, how can authors utilize social media to gather valuable feedback from potential readers and use it to refine their future work or marketing strategies?
All right. So number one, it first of all, it really is. I think I've talked to a lot of authors. They're like, I won't look at anything below a 5-star review. Like, so one thing is like the feedback from the audience. Like, that's up to you. You want to take it, leave it. That's your decision. However, as far as marketing strategies go, it is when you get feedback, like let's say you're sharing your writing team or you're sharing parts of your book or whatever, you can very easily see what's resonating. And look, if you only have 200 people and you get 5 likes and a different thing you get 3 and a different thing you get 10, that's fine. Don't don't make yourself think you should have some through the roof result. Be okay with where it's at and then watch it grow and be consistent. So the kind of feedback you can get is just to see what people are interested in and see what's resonating.
Absolutely. All righty. Into my next question. How can authors stay ahead of the curve and adapt to the ever-changing landscape of social media and digital marketing?
Well, I would say, and I don't mean this like in any kind of self-serving way, but the way to be ahead of the curve is to be doing content, is to be out there, is to literally have a digital footprint. You cannot, I just feel like what's happening is there are authors who write their books and then they think there's going to be some magic that happens. The stores are going to order their book, people are going to review it. It just doesn't really happen that way. That's very rare. And being upset at the universe for not giving it to you isn't going to get you anywhere either. It really is, another thing is that people feel like they shouldn't have to pay to play. But the fact is that 20 years ago, there was a lot more websites that could support, reviews, authors, all that, because there was a lot of more advertising revenue. Now, these platforms, there's a little bit of pay to play, and there's a lot of review platforms, there's content platforms, so there's that stuff, and then of course there's also you having your own channels. But the thing is, not everyone can maintain their own channels, or they're not big enough. So when you work with other platforms, that'll be the kind of thing where you get that support. And there's nothing wrong with paying for a review. There's nothing wrong with whatever you have to do to get out there, because you have to understand that those companies, for them to keep going, that's what they need. So it's just how it is, like, and that's what I mean by like ahead of the curve, the ever-changing landscape. The ever-changing landscape is there's a lot more of things you have to pay for, but the prices are pretty low and pretty reasonable.
Okay. Awesome. So that kind of goes into my next question, is what exactly is content partnership? So you guys may want to write this down. We have a good Q&A portion, so this might be part of our giveaway.
All right. So a content partnership, especially since, and this really, so if you all don't know what a collaboration is on Instagram, but that is the thing that really helped magnify this. So basically, a content partnership is just that you are the author, but the content about you is on another platform. So we have Bookster, right? So if you look at Bookster now, you could see that we have this series called Author, where we ask a question to an author and they answer it. And the thing about it is, we've gotten some of the most beautiful answers you could ever imagine, like literally tears in my eyes, because authors have beautiful things to say and beautiful inspiration for their book, right? But if you're just putting it on your channel and you're limited to whatever you have, you put it on Bookster, and now it's Bookster with author. So now when people look at Instagram, your name is right there next to them. Someone could click that, be right on your on your profile. So a content partnership, and I'm just talking about the Instagram one right now, is where your video would be on, like, let's say Bookster, and then it would also be on your page. Your audience would be able to comment on it. Bookster's audience would be able to comment on it. And now you have, tens of thousands of more people be exposed to your content. But also this is true for, like I said, for like paid reviews, things like that. All those things are content partnerships where you're leveraging the audience that someone already has. Bookster has 1.6 million on Facebook. You're never going to get there, right? So if there's a review sitting on Bookster's website and then it gets put on Facebook, it gets put on Instagram, it gets put on all these platforms, it gets put into Bookster's emailer, then there's thousands and thousands of people finding out about you and your book that never would have found out before. So that's the essence of a content partnership.
Wonderful. So how do you see content partnership as a tool for authors reaching a wider audience and building community around their work?
So as I was saying, so let's say you do author questions. So one of the things is you want to think about who are you, what's important that you bring to the table, right? So let's say you're a children's author. There might be an inspiration that had you be that. So what you really want to do is, and work with someone like me or, the platform itself to find what resonates with that audience. And it really is like building community is about that someone cares about what you have to say. And so saying, buy my book doesn't ever work. What works is us finding out about you, finding out about why you're an author. And that's how you build audience and you connect with people and let them in, let them know who you are, what's important to you, and work with the curators, the platforms, etc., to help bring that out to the world.
Perfect. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges authors face in finding and cultivating successful content partnerships?
I would say, I think sometimes it's picking the right platform. They might end up with like a review on a website that has like 50 people on it, right? So, you got to do a little bit of research about audience and things like that. So you definitely want to do that. And then also also that you want to be coachable. I know it's hard to say, and I'm kind of talking to, authors who may or may not look at it that way, but the best platforms are going to help you bring out the best in you. So for Bookster, we have a whole guide for authors that tells them how to, how to be on camera, what to do, or if we have a specific social media client, literally they get coached, they learn how to share themselves. We teach about content strategy. So it really is that, if you're coachable, you don't have to be great at it. That's not your job. You're an author. But if you're coachable in what makes successful social media work, because we're going to work with you because you're awesome. And anybody who's had the nerve and the ability to write an entire book, there's something special about you. And
Absolutely.
you got to work with people so they can help bring that to the world.
Absolutely. In your opinion, what do you think the future of content partnerships and social media for authors, and how can they best prepare for that? What do you think the future looks like?
I think the future looks like, and I hate to say the word AI, but the future with AI is that AI has made some things cheaper, but what it's made more valuable is authenticity and reality. So if you think about it, the more now, if you're a faceless person writing a book, was it AI? What was it that wrote that book? There's going to be more stuff out there that has nothing behind it. So the more you have this authentic with audience, that, oh, that guy, that woman wrote that book, oh, talk about. So it's actually as much as like AI is like scaring people and all that. On the other side, the opportunity it's going to ask for authenticity. People are already tiring of the things that are generated that way, but it's going to make it so that you need to put yourself out there and show that you're a real human.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more there. With limited time, how should authors prioritize which social media platforms that best serves their book marketing goals and why?
That's a great question. One of the things I deal with authors is they think they should be on every platform. And that is just overwhelming and pretty much impossible. Unless you're a thought leader who already knows what they're doing, to expect that of yourself is just too much. So it really is. And then also, you have to understand the platforms themselves. So TikTok, let's say, it's about personality. And if you don't want to put your personality out there on a regular basis and you want to do, I'm just saying Instagram is pretty much the strongest platform for book lovers because it has graphics and video and it's consistent. TikTok has like the ups and downs. One video could get 20 views, one video could get 1,000 views, and you have to be really consistent at it. So, but the best platforms, and also you could make partnerships with, influencers, things like that with TikTok. But as far as what someone else should choose, look, if you're doing nonfiction, LinkedIn is a must. If you're doing fiction, LinkedIn's also a must. And I usually tell people if you could start with LinkedIn and Instagram, that's a great start. What's great about Facebook is the groups on Facebook. That's the only place that has groups, right? So the book communities are on there. And then you have Pinterest, you have Blue Sky as well. Blue Sky is something if you want to cut through the noise. So Blue Sky is like the replacement for Twitter /X. We don't need to discuss why. And so with Blue Sky, it's also, do you want to be? It's like if Twitter wasn't for you, Blue Sky is probably not for you either. If you're not putting out statements and things like that, it's just another platform. So yeah, pick your battle. But I would say LinkedIn and Instagram are like 1 and 2, depending on either what one is one or the other one is one. And then from there, it's just seeing how you can expand, seeing where the community is. And again, working with someone like me or similar who can say, you know what, your story is going to resonate on this platform.
So LinkedIn and Instagram is what
for sure
recommended. Okay, perfect. How can Bookster help authors with their content marketing strategies?
So we have 2 different things that we do. One is that we have we have our content and social media services. So that's where we have different packages for authors. And we work with that author. We are their agent. So it starts from $750 on up, and it's a full monthly, and there's like a 3-month minimum, but there's a full like campaign where we come up with your content strategy, your content types. We coach you, we film you, like we do everything you need. And we say like, you're the author, leave social media to us. That's the slogan for that one. So that's our social media and content services. On the other hand, we have Bookster itself that has 1.6 million on Facebook, 87,000 on Instagram, 17,000 on Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. Sorry, I call it Twitter. I refuse to call it X. Okay. And so what we do there, that's where the content partnerships live. So that's where we have featured reviews. So a featured review will be an article on Bookster featuring your book, but we also do a carousel on TikTok, on Instagram, and where it'll be a collaboration to your profile, and people can see the one-on-one questions right there. If you go look at Bookster, you'll see that. We have a series which I talked about before called Author Questions. We do featured articles. We have a series called Author's Bookshelf for the more, how would you say, like authors who are willing to get out there more. Author's Bookshelf is like cribs. but for authors, like show off your bookshelves and tell us about your favorite books. So, and yeah, you can find it on, for Ingram, we actually have a page for IngramSpark that's on for the experts page. I think I answered the question. So, and of course, when, everyone's bad at talking about themselves, and now I'm showing you that I am too. So, yeah, so we have sponsored articles, featured reviews, one-on-ones, author questions, and then we also have giveaways and emailers and cover reveals we do as well. All right, there we go.
Wonderful. Well, you've given us so much good information, Scott. So how can people find you? How can they reach out to you?
So my email is scott@bookster.com, SCOTT@bookster, BOOKSTR.com. You can also go to our website, bookster.com, and click on the promote your book. So you could see it on the, in the foot of our page. It's also at the top in the menu. It says promote your book, and it'll have our services. And then at the bottom of that page, which I'm looking at right now, it says contact us, and you can fill that out. And then also on Ingram's expert page, we're in the, what section are we in? I think you know, Jen.
I'm getting ready to pull it up right now. But yes, I've also pinned Scott's email address if you guys want to reach out to him. That information is there as well.
I found it in the book marketing and publicity.
Yes, I was going to say book marketing and publicity. So if you're an IngramSpark author or publisher, you can go to our experts page, go to that tab, and you'll be able to see a special discount specifically for IngramSpark authors and publishers.
It's ingramspark.com/resources/experts.
Yes, perfect. Thank you for that, Scott.
Thank
you. All right, now we're going to jump into the fun part of this episode with a question and answer. So if you have any questions for Scott about the topic, content partnerships and social media, now is the time to ask. Just put it in the comments below, and I will scroll up to see if I've missed any questions while we were talking, Scott. Sherman Won't Share said, what's an effective strategy to get people to give your book a review? And I know Scott mentioned this a little bit earlier.
So there's a few things. On my side, talking about content, there are quite a few companies where you contact them and you pay for them to do a review of your book on their platform. So Kirkus is one of them. Bookster does it. There's several other. There's other services out there where they'll send out your book and get reviews back in. So there's other services like that, and you could probably Google that. So, and then what they do is they send out copies of your book, and they get reviewers to send their reviews in.
Yeah. And actually, if you guys go back and watch my first episode of 2025 with Julie Broad, she actually talked about some of those services. So I want people to kind of go back and watch that one as well.
But but I was going to say, there's no shame in paying for a review. Yeah. These companies they have to make money to stay open. And so, also, I did Publishers Weekly, right? So all these companies, they offer this to authors, and having a budget is, you put so much work into your book, you gotta spend a little bit of money to get it out there.
Absolutely. You have to invest in yourself. Amina.author asks, how can we make our book stand out?
Great question. So there's a lot of different, obviously, having a great book cover is always really important, and making sure that it is like, how would you say, like, I used to tell people, I told you guys I used to work in music, and someone would bring in some music to me. It was a record store, it's that long ago, and I would be like, where's this gonna sit on the wall next to the things on the wall? And it was like, you want to hold yourself to the standard of anybody else in the world that's creating, right? So you have to think, where would my book sit in Barnes & Noble? What would it look like? What's comparable? Hold yourself to that standard. And, that's one way to have it stick out. Of course, the other way, obviously, is to have you stick out and to have people understand who you are. Why should I care about you? Why should I care about your book? And that would be, kind of how to stick out is to, let people know who you are. Why does this book exist? Why should we care about you? Why should we care about your book? If you really think about it, that's all a review is.
Right.
Right. So it's like, how do you get that into the universe, right? You got to get out there and, you have the power to control your narrative.
Absolutely. I have one more question. Books by Shay says, why LinkedIn? I thought that was for finding
Oh,
jobs.
nice. That's great that you asked that. Okay. So the fact is LinkedIn is definitely not just for you for looking for jobs. LinkedIn is a place where people are building their careers. And so, and there's also like a whole entire like thought leader ecosystem on LinkedIn. So what you want to think about is if you're an author, you're saying my thoughts matter so much that it's going to be in this book, right? Number one. Number two, who's on LinkedIn? Bookstores, publishers, editors, all the people who could discover you, they're on LinkedIn, right? And then every bookstore that you want to get into, one of the people who work there is probably on LinkedIn. And it's not just, and the thing is, Instagram is like, how would you say? Like, Instagram is about getting to know you. LinkedIn can be about your work. Who are you as a author, right? What have you accomplished? So, and especially for nonfiction authors, saying your accomplishments, saying your unique point of view is an important reason why you should be on LinkedIn to, to promote you and your book. I'm very,
Perfect.
very glad that question came up.
That's a really good question. And I typically notice I pay attention to more authors on LinkedIn now than on any other platform. So usually if they've tagged IngramSpark books on LinkedIn, I've probably read every one compared to who's tagged us on Instagram. I don't know. It just kind of stands out more to me personally on LinkedIn. Let me go with Brandy Hardzina. Totally agree that it's worth to invest in oneself. However, the cost to play is really high for indie authors. Are there options for those who are bootstrapping their book marketing? And I'm going to let Scott go, and then I'm going to tag in on the end of that question.
Okay. Well, it all depends what bootstrapping means, right? So to me, if you spend $1,000, you are getting a bunch of stuff from Bookstore. You are, and or any other platform. But if Bootstrap $100 is $100, what's worth the hours and weeks and all the things you put into your book and then getting it published and and I know what it is to put a book into the Ingram system and all formatting and all that. I mean, so to me, bootstrapping, if you have $1,000, you could definitely make that money work for you. If you have 100, you're not going to get much of a result. It's just not enough in today's world to get a result. So, and then the thing is, let's say you don't have a budget, then you're just going to have to put the work in and the research and, reaching out to, you're going to become your own PR person and you're going to have to research every platform and you're going to have to do that work. So the fact is there's a value to that work and to that audience, no matter if you're spending your money or your time, but the work's going to have to go in.
Yeah, absolutely. There's got to be some sweat equity there. IngramSpark does have a page called Promote Your Book on Facebook. It's a free group to join. It's other authors and publishers. It basically shows like bootstrapping ways for authors to promote their books. They're economical. We also post blog content in there. If you're not familiar with title discovery, that's another option for you as well. We have like a spectrum. You can do the sweat equity, or you can go all the way up to, like Scott says, with Bookster, doing content partnerships, whatever meets your budget and your goals. But there are some free tools on IngramSpark.com that we offer you to help you market your book yourself. We do also have a free book marketing guide that you can download on our website as well. So I definitely hope that people would start there and then figure out what their budget is and what their next steps are. But definitely going to that Facebook group, looking about more information about Bookster, downloading that guide, and just figuring out ways that works best for you as a self-published author.
So I'm glad that came up as well, because I'm really just talking about content partnerships.
Yeah.
So the other thing I want to mention is, again, and we know this all costs money and everything, but a diversified plan is the best plan. So, Ingram has amazing services also with like paid media advertising. So like ads on different platforms, stuff like that I can't do ever, right? And they are like brilliant at it. And so like that's what I'm saying. You want to take a look at all these different things, a content partnership and having reviews out there, all that serves that purpose. But I'm not saying that's the silver bullet. It really is that you look at everything and you put something together that works. And, it's definitely, the more diverse it is, the better.
Absolutely. All right, well, we're going to jump into the giveaway portion of the episode, which is one of my favorite parts. So I hope you guys have been taking some really good notes. If you answer the question correctly, put it down in the comment. The first person that answers will win a wonderful IngramSpark swag bag. Just make sure to send us a direct message of your full name and full physical address. We do not ship to P.O. boxes. So we're going to jump right into the first question that Scott answered for us in the middle of the episode about what is content partnership. What did Scott say content partnership was? If you go ahead and put it in the comments below, let's see if we have a winner. And you're welcome, Shaniqua, for your gift. I think she won on a previous episode. What does Scott say that content partnerships were? There may be a delay on my side. Scott, are you seeing anything?
I'm trying not to touch my phone because I don't want to mess anything up. So.
Okay. What is content partnership? We'll give it another minute. All right, Francis Rivetti, collaborations with multiple platforms. Absolutely. Please send me your full name and mailing address, and I'll send that gift right out to you. Perfect. Thank you so much. Let's go to the next question. What were some of the ways Scott said that Bookster can help authors or publishers with content marketing? What are some of the ways Bookster can help authors? Books for curious minds. You got that. Author interviews. And if you're not following Bookster, make sure you're following them. They're a great platform to follow. Perfect. And my last question, guys. What are some of the previous topics or guests from Ask the Self-Publishing Expert? And I kind of talked about this earlier. Just name a previous episode topic or a previous guest in one of my previous episodes. And if you haven't watched our episodes, make sure to watch them. They're located in our reels. And that's where this episode will be for you guys to go back and rewatch it if you need to gather any information. Name some previous guests or topics. Uh-oh. I don't know if my phone is frozen. This is always the hardest one. Nobody? We don't have a winner? So name a previous topic or guest in one of my previous episodes of Ask the Self-Publishing Expert.
Am I allowed to give a clue? I bet you it has something to do with books and publishing.
Yes, it does. So just any previous episode or topic, and they're located in our reels. Anyone? We may have to hold this one for the next episode. I'm going to go ahead and call it. So that's you guys' assignment. Go look at some previous episodes of Ask the Self-Publishing Expert. They're located in our reels. But let's just give a warm round of applause for Scott Richmond, CEO of Bookster, for joining us today. Thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate you.
And I just want to let all the authors know, like, I have so much respect for you and the hard work you do. It is really something to take on writing. And there's a lot of people out there in the world who want to know you, who know what you do is special. So, just always keep that in mind. And yeah, like, everyone's dying to meet you, so don't be afraid to get out there.
Awesome. Thanks so much again for everybody who tuned in, and thank you for joining us, and make sure to tune in next month with our next guest. You guys have a wonderful day, and make sure to share your story with the world.
Bye.
One.